So, we go again. Welcome back if you're joining me again. Jim McFadyen here from the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing. This is number 36 of the Darkness to Light Godcast. Number 36, This World to Fix. Which, when I put this up last week, the intention was to do this last weekend, last Friday, last Saturday, before the final experience live. And one of my good friends, an old friend of mine, has a great saying that says, "We make plans and the gods laugh." And the amount of stress I was under last Friday trying to record this, the computer was needing an update, the sound wasn't working, had a massive echo, couldn't get it to record properly, and it got to the point after 2 or 3 hours, after doing all the preparation as to what I wanted to do, that it just didn't work, so missed it last week. And as always, you've just got to go with the flow with this kind of stuff. The busier that we are becoming, that I'm becoming with this work with the Vortex, then, Wednesday, Thursday's not my day for recording, and, if things get in the way of that, then on occasion, or if I'm not feeling up to it, or I'm out the flow or whatever, then there may be the occasion that I do miss them, but I'm doing my very, very best to get them out every single week. Thanks to those who are tuning in, interested in Sunday. It's always fascinating, the people that that give you different kind of feedback and comments that I'm never really ever looking for. As I've said from the beginning, the first phase of this, the first series, this stage we're at just now, it feels like kind of a public service or public information, and the kind of, in terms of what people think it or what they get from it, or their take on it, that's never really been a concern to me with any of this stuff. I understand what it is that I'm doing, and the process that I'm allowing to come through me, and the intention with it is what's the most important thing about the whole thing. But it's nice, I must admit, it's nice when people, they say they tune in, and the feedback was great, the amount of people that are getting information out of it. As I've always said, the amount of, how vast this is in terms of the language, and how difficult, but how different it is from the normal way of living. I get all that, I understand that, because I've been on both sides of the fence, and it's the first wee bit, the learning phase in terms of what the language is and what I'm actually talking about and what I mean, that can take time. So there is a lot of repetition. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is obviously going over the same stuff. I remember listening to Wayne Dyer back in the day when I started going about this kind of what the spirituality stuff. And I would buy a wee set of kind of tape cassettes, 50 quid they were at the time, back in the late 90s, and I would listen to them on repeat for thousands of hours, just picking up different bits and, taking different bits of information. And what you find is, as your consciousness shifts and elevates up through this work, you'll start to hear things for a different level, So I've got students just now that have been with me kind of, some of them 5-6 years, some a wee bit longer actually, and they'll say that they're hearing things, even though they've heard it, but to hear it for the first time, because of where they're at, because of the work they've been doing on themselves. And that's really what this first phase is about, is the education process as to what it is we're actually doing. And number 36, This World to Fix, that's a really kind of bold intention. And again, to talk about what it is that I'm actually doing, what is the intention with this, what am I actually doing, what's the plan, what's where are we going with it? And that's it, literally, it's to lift this world up in any way that I can, with the tools and techniques that I have learned along my own journey. This is 28 years now, over 28 years. I'm my 29th year of working on this stuff. And what I'm seeing with the way that I'm sharing it and the way that it's continuously evolving, it feels like, there's been another shift very recently on the back of the last month as to how it's coming through me and how it's coming out, and the results that people are getting from it, which is fantastic. I'm always trying to simplify it and take it back and, make it easier to understand. And what's really came through the last wee bit is the amount of, the bridges that are now in place within the Vortex to get on about this work, and go from walking in daily levels of awareness. People that are perhaps not in the best of place would be an understatement for a lot of people. So many are broken just now, so many are on the bones of their arse, so many people are suffering in ways that they you wouldn't wish on anybody. So to come in and then, for me to take them, to the nth degree of where I'm at, after 28 years of working on this stuff every single day, you realise very quickly that doesn't work, and you can lose so many people just with the language, never mind, the different phases and different stages of the work, So I'm always trying to kind of, find easier ways, to make it more palatable and make it easier to understand. And as always, it's about the experience. The plan is simple, darkness to light, that's my story. The darkness of the ego and excess and all the challenges of this world, back to the way it's meant to be, back into the light, back into the way of the divine order. God. It was interesting on Sunday, the experience live, where people at the end of it, even though I spoke for 3 hours just about, and I was talking about, spirituality and, my experiences of, organised religion and the challenges that brings up, and how it's one of the biggest problems we face in terms of, they say that they're going to get you to God, but that isn't actually what really happens, and how, all that evolved. And right at the very end of it, a couple of people were they were almost challenging me and didn't have the same belief system as me because they thought I was endorsing religion. That was me after speaking for 2 or 3 hours. So again, it's very interesting, what people take. A lot of people, in their belief system, in their mind, in their head, even when you're speaking, they're obviously got their own stuff going on. And that's where it's the constant, repeating the message, I suppose, and keeping shining the light as to what I'm actually doing, so that eventually, people start to understand that it's not about religion, but it's absolutely about spirituality, and it's absolutely about the reconnection back to the divine, that divinity that's inside every single one of us. So many lessons over the last few weeks. Since I came back from Malaga with Michael and Fern, had a wee holiday with Michael and Fern and my wife holiday with my wife, and I met Michael and Fern over there. We met Michael and Fern, had a great 6 days, wee bit of sunshine, wee bit of space to kind of contemplate and let last year go, and then, start to get excited about what's coming up. And as I've said before, the experience live that came through in December time, the simple and singular intention with that in the beginning was to basically help people. That was it. That's when I'm at my best, when it's pouring through me the way it has been for the last while. When I'm full God, the way I am just now, when I'm completely clean, all the coffee I was taking, and I say coffee, I was having maybe one espresso every couple of weeks. I would have a coffee now and again, but the sugars had crept in, and a couple of kind of toxins within the system that was basically affecting me. And for me to fulfil my potential, which is what this is all about, the full level for me is full God. That's what I call it, where you're basically dedicating your life to the divine mission of serving God. For me, that's the infinite field of possibilities, the way, the truth, the light, the field of consciousness, the Tao. Doesn't matter what you call it, source energy is possibly one of the best ways Abraham Hicks used to talk about. So working for that, the space that we came from, that place of, divine, difficult to quantify or explain in words, but whatever that source energy is, where we come from, I absolutely know that we carry a piece of that inside of us. We must, because we come from it, and then when we die we go back to it. So to work for that, to serve that, there's many different levels to that. And over the last probably 4 weeks now, I've been back to the way that it was probably before I opened the Vortex in 2016, where it was really kind of so focused on me. I've had to learn how to do that because of how much I've given myself away over the last 9 years since the Vortex opened. But the way that I've really kind of taking responsibility for my own journey and my desire to fulfill my own potential is to really kind of back off from everything else, and really tend to myself first and foremost, and then give myself away at the other side, which is always the case. You get it for yourself, you master yourself, and then you pay it forward. That's the deal. I believe that's the way that it's meant to be. And the way that Experience Live came through was in the back of the experience. All those live sessions we did towards the kind of end of summer into autumn time. Again, every Tuesday night, try to help people. Give them a chance to get around about it. They see the post, they can maybe kind of understand it. It feels good because of the truth that's in it. In terms of the information, and then they maybe see some testimonials or what people are getting from it. So the desire was to basically do a weekly session-ish, to give people a bridge, to go from the internet stuff and the post to experience it. I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but it's this experience that changes everything. Talk is so cheap, you need to experience it. It's one of the things that, as Wayne Dyer taught me, you can't get wet for the word water. You need to jump in and feel what it feels like, and that's what this work is all about. You need to experience it. So therefore, the Experience Live, the next step up, from people getting on the internet is to basically come and see us and be in one of those rooms and get on about it. And the way that came through in meditation, like a lightning bolt, mid-December time, and I just saw the whole thing, how it was going to go. The location, New Lanark Hotel, which really grateful for all the staff and the people down there that have been helping us. And the location's perfect. I mean, what a space, what a sacred place, right beside the river. Something about that whole area down there. Something about Lanark actually. There's a lot of kind of light workers in Lanark, a lot of shite workers as well. There's a few that are in it for the wrong reasons, as there is everywhere. But the amount of light workers, the amount of people of pure intention that are basically trying to help, there's something about that place down there, and it's my home for now. We're in Lanark. I've been here the last 25 years. So using down there, being down there, and we always use the same room. up in the conference suite, and we booked it out for, and it takes probably, I would say it probably takes 70 to 100, maybe 60, 70 people max on the floor. It's probably one of the smaller rooms, the Coral Inn it's called. And the first week that was booked out, we had over 100 signed up for the first week. Free, it's a gift for me to the world. The intention was to basically help people. Secondly, it was for something for me to look forward to. It was something for me in January to basically help people that are basically jumping out of windows in January time, depressed after fucking Satan Claus comes. And then, what do you look forward to? And there's so much importance in having stuff to be excited about. So for me, having something to work on over Christmas time and think about and get myself ready, get my shit together for January time, because when this wave of people were going to come, there's something about when you give something for free as well, people are getting their time up, and I'm very aware of that, away from families and committing to it, so I needed to be flying for that. I wanted to be flying because I knew I could have felt the wave that was coming, and very quickly, the first week, and it's interesting with the sign-ups, of all the events that we've now done, if you get 100 sign-ups, you'll basically get between 50 and 60% of people that show up for the free events. It's very different if somebody pays for it, and that was the case every single week this week. The last 3 weeks that we did, the last three Sundays in January. First week we had probably, I think, between 60 and 70. That's a lie. With 100 sign-ups, and I think there was 30 or 40 in the room, which was, again, it was great. There was tons of space. It was an opportunity. Loads of new people getting on about it. Loads of people coming, and the intention to see what it is and meet me and get on about all that kind of stuff, which was great. And then the marketing that will, and again, I try not to do the marketing, but again, to put it out there, if you don't spend money on Facebook and Instagram, then nobody sees it. That's just the way that it is, it's buried and it's hidden, especially this information. We were trying to reconnect people back to God and give them solutions. They don't really like that stuff, in my experience, or the way that it plays out. We can see it with the videos on this, how it just jumps and then it basically dies because it's hidden, which is fair enough. I get that, I understand that. They don't really want solutions, which is fair enough. That's part of the challenge. But by the second week, the numbers and the sign-ups we had, with nearly 170 or 180 sign-ups for the second week. So then again, the math, 50, 60%, show-up rate. We decided to take on the bigger room, which was the Bonington room, which... It's fascinating with this work, and it's fascinating for me when I'm full God, when I'm absolutely flying, how things just seem to work out. And if we had 170 people show up, there's no way in this earth that would have fitted in that room. But having faith in the process, and your intentions are everything. The intentions to help people is enough. So you always got to have faith that everyone's going to be fine. And lo and behold, the room itself, I think we had 80 people in it, 79 or 80 people in it. It wasn't an official head count. But in the room, there wasn't another single space. We couldn't have fitted anybody else in. It was interesting. There was 2 girls that basically turned up an hour late. It started at 10 o'clock, and it's basically an hour late, and they couldn't get into the room. It was too late to basically join anyway because they'd missed the start of it, and they would have basically upset the kind of dynamics of the group by that point. So the decision was made by one of the team to not let them in. But it's just fascinating when you look up and you go, there wasn't a single space. And by that time, I was back up to speed again in terms of probably presenting and working again and doing the public stuff, which if you're not doing it, hadn't done it for a wee while, had been probably September, October time, even though I'm in here every day or I'm doing the classes or whatever. It's different when you're doing a big event, with 70, 80 people in it. So by that time I was up to speed. It was interesting for me watching what was coming through me and the way the message was coming through and being delivered. It was starting to shift a wee bit in different ways, which were really quite subtle, but for those that have been on it enough, myself included, you start to see kind of definite, there's definite ways that this is starting to elevate, and that there's new information and new processes and different bridges, which is a huge thing just now. People coming in, so we don't really miss anybody. So no matter what it is you're coming in with, there's a stepping stone or a bridge, hopefully all the way up to that place that we would call enlightenment. That's the plan. You can't just come in off the street and get it in the first hour. It doesn't really work like that, but there are definite steps to doing that. And then by the time we got to the third week, the decision was made that we were going to take on the biggest room down there, which is a Robert Owen, which is 30 metres long, by 6 metres wide, with over 250 sign-ups for the third week. And again, everybody shows up, it's not happening. And the Thursday, Friday, which was last week, we were blessed with a storm. And, the absolute carnage and the drama and the stress and the upset that caused. And the conditions, even the day before it with the snow and the ice and all that kind of stuff, I almost lost my van. Very, very slow coming back for the Falls of the Clyde the day the storms hit the ice and almost put it in a ditch. So the conditions were treacherous, and people were obviously dealing with the aftermath of the storm. But we still managed to get over, there was over 100 people in the room. And just incredible, the learning process that I'm going through and watching this for as long as I've been doing it now, the things that are normal to me, and in fact normal to the team as well, the stuff that I'm talking about, you need to remember the people that are coming in with their belief systems, and where they're at in their life. How it would be really naive for me to think that everybody's going to walk through the doors and get what I've got. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, I stand beside the fact that every single thing, no matter what it is, and every single person that comes in and goes through it, everything gets better. That's a literal fact. I defy anybody to come in and go through that. And there was a couple of people over, probably 300 people all in, that you could see straight away that they didn't want to be there. A lot of people, the amount of people in the room was too much. So people suffer with anxiety or high levels of the possibilities of panic attacks, or couldn't deal with those situations. That's obviously a challenge, and absolutely anybody that came, first and foremost, thank you. But anybody that struggles with that stuff, to get into that environment, I get how difficult that is. So to watch them, and then even at the end of it, a couple of people was like, you could feel, and there was probably two that I spoke to that didn't really get it. But when you actually had a conversation with them, and you think, did you learn how to breathe today? Aye, so you know how to breathe with function, you understand how the breath works and the significance of nasal breathing and how to set your chemistry and the ability to, de-escalate your stress, and that's how it's going to help your sleep and how to, the importance of sleep, but how to get into sleep. So even at that, the significance of breathing properly, and even the awareness, that I picked up on that day, just by being around about that stuff, just by being around about that information, the desire for me to pay it forward and pass it on, but then the information they're getting, which is basic knowledge for me now, but not that long ago it wasn't, the ability to manage your nervous system just by how you breathe, and how you breathe during the night, the amount of people that are struggling to sleep, the amount of people that are struggling to switch their mind off at night time. When you hear that, and then you basically say, well, if you do this, if you simply look at mouth taping, and you simply switch to nasal breathing, and you explain the benefits of that, then, everything gets better. Every single thing in your life is going to get better. So really, really grateful for everybody that came. Just so grateful for the team. I mean, the team that was there, the inner circle between the Vortex apprentices, who you are, guys, thank you so much, and it's exciting just now, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Also the programme members that came and supported over the 3 weeks at different stages, and that's a huge thing for me as a community. That's one of the biggest things that's coming through just now, is us spending time together, like-minded souls, getting in about it. 2 out of the 3 weeks, the middle week I couldn't because I had to go to the airport and pick up my boy, but the first and third week, we, the programme members, the people that run about this, we went for a walk up to the falls and just kind of tuning in with people, and basically seeing where people are at, and a chance to catch up, and also, the realisation that, many people in that room that go through that experience of going about this work, a lot of the times when they get back to their own environment, whether it's their house, their home, or whether it's their, their working environment or their social circle, when you're going about this stuff, I think it's really important to have people around about you that are of the same language or of the same ilk, that you can basically get through this journey with. It's hugely important. Nothing worse than going back to a house where everybody's still at the same level and still in the same level of drama and noise and stress, and you've just had a profound life-changing, sometimes a transformational experience where you're able to switch off your stress and reconnect back into how you're meant to feel. Then to go back into your environment again, it can be really challenging. So the community of the Vortex, the community of the programme members is something that, again, is so important as we go forward, and it's grown every single day, which is really exciting. So the experience live, one of the big things that came through the first Saturday before we started was the desire, again, another bridge, somebody walking in, and we're talking about all the different steps to the process and the programme and the different events, and it's like, well, that's probably too much and too big a commitment for a lot of people. So, what is the bridge? And again, sitting in meditation, the amount of stuff that's coming through just now in meditation, I came up with a thing called the Programme Lite, which is basically 5 recordings that anybody that was there, they had the ability to buy it. It was $19.99 was the price, so 20 quid for a 3-month subscription. And it gives you the opportunity to leave on that day with 5 recordings, varying times, probably for 15-20 minutes up to an hour, I think is probably the longest one. So walk away with a version of, different, the intentional breath, relaxation, meditation, and also the big one is slumber party, which is basically one that I did in here a Sunday night, just to help the programme members get to sleep. Encouraged everybody to turn up in their pyjamas, and we basically sat online and basically took people to sleep. And even now, some of the group members have been in that and listened to it for the last probably 6 or 7 months. That's our go-to every single night to get them to sleep. We take them through breath work and switching off the nervous system and then putting you into a deep restful state in the correct way. Getting into that unconscious state, that unconscious field that we call sleep, for the next, whatever it is, 3, 4, 8, 9 hours. What you take into that is so important, so the desire to give somebody a gift in 1999, was went into that and the information and the processes to create that, so that they could basically walk away with it, so that again, another benefit of when you're in this flow state, and you design it first, and you set it up first, and then the design process happens on the backside of it, and then all the kind of offshoots, all the kind of things that come through it, the programme might be one of them, so now that's probably like the first step for somebody who's interested in getting about this work. They take it away, they've got 3 months to listen to it, to do the work, to tune into it. It's a tool there that they can basically tap into through the app at any time. It gives them a wee taste of what the programme is, and whether they would like to continue this journey, to get on about it. We're not trying to sell anything, trust me. We're giving opportunities for people to improve their life by buying the products that we've created. Very, very different. And, looking back now, over the 3 weeks and what was created from it and where we got to, the amount of people that we helped, the amount of positive, feedback we got and the reviews, and thanks to anybody that took the time to go into Google and stick up some of the reviews. It's been 99.99%. Again, only goodness. There is only goodness in this work. There is no agenda except to help people. That's basically it. We need the money and the funds, and that's just how business works. Yesterday, in fact, my insurance in the last 2 years has went from 150 quid to 250 quid to 700 quid. The quote came in yesterday. And, you look at the cost of things and the cost of living, and we always with the desire to take this to the world. Obviously, there needs to be money, there needs to be an exchange in terms of the value that's in this work. This work is more valuable than gold and diamonds put together, what it does for people. We're talking about reconnection back to the self and reconnection back to the divine, which not many people are doing, and even less have got they know the path to do that, and we're doing that every single day with this work. So the exchange and the money that took place, again, it's everything is getting reinvested with the desire to take it to the world, and you help enough other people get what they want, you can have everything you want. That's Zig Ziglar. For me, what I want is freedom, the freedom to do whatever I want, when I want, with whomever I want. This mission, the excitement that's in this mission. Money has done nothing for me for the last probably 25 years. Since I came back from Ibiza, money means nothing to me. Before it did, I was very interested in money. I liked money. I wanted to make money. I liked buying things and buying stuff. For the last 25 years, not at all. Obviously we need it because that's the exchange mechanism we use in this world at the minute. Tesco's, they don't accept goodwill or they accept paper and basically credits for your card. So at that point, obviously it's required. And for me, it's always about how much value can we give and how cheap can we give it away. But at the same time, the value that's in it. So many lessons, and the people that left, the people that get run about it, the people that are basically interested in this work. And what is this work? That's the thing again. What is it we're actually doing? What's the plan with it? What's the design to do? And that's very, very simple. The intention is to take it to the world. The intention is to help the world. The intention is to lift up the world. That's dead simple. From darkness to light. And the process is very, very simple. It really is when you understand how it goes together. And this is where I believe that I've worked this out in ways that I don't think anybody else has yet. The way that I take people through it, with my own experience and my own story. Again, I've told my story. I think it's really important to be able to tell your story so that people can see that obviously the validity of what it is you're actually doing. There's nothing I'm teaching here that basically I don't do myself. I live this every single day. I have done for 20 years. And I talk about meditation and breath work, and this is stuff that I do every single day. I've been in meditation every day for 28 years since it started. Probably 26 years since it started, but it's every single day, 7 days a week. So the processes that I've worked out, the tools and the techniques that I've learned from some of the best teachers in the world, and then I've taken them in, and then through my own whatever it is, my tisms, basically what it is that's worked for me, the way that I'm now able to voice it and communicate it. We're seeing it happen, and the process and the way that it happens, it's all about reset and reconnect and remembering, getting out of this and reconnecting back into this, back into your heart and back into your soul. And that, to me, is the way that it's meant to be. The natural path, the divine way, the natural order, the way that it is just now with the mind and the intellect and the stress and the strain and this information age. and like chronic information age. There's too much information, and most of it's just shite because it takes you in the wrong direction in terms of how it makes you feel. But that process of the reconnection back into the self, back into that flow state, back into balance, giving your body what it needs in terms of the ability to, it's great to switch this on, it's great to switch your nervous system on, it's great to be like ramped up and ready to go and being excited, and like the good stress hormones, that's that sympathetic nervous system, that fight and flight, that sometimes that's really good if you can control it, but at the same time, the other side to that, the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, the ability to switch off the nervous system, the ability to give yourself a break for you, the ability to stop, the ability not to think. Amazing when I watched again at the weekends over January, how many people suffer with an overactive mind. And probably 70% of the room put their hand up. If you're being honest, probably 99% of the room struggles with that. They just maybe don't even know it because they're probably thinking that much, it just becomes a normal. And that's good for certain things. God bless the mind and all the benefits of it. Every single thing that's ever been created comes from thought, and imagination, and the desire to then go and take that into practice and create something. That's part of the manifestation and creation process, absolutely. But at the same time, the ability to switch it off and take a break for you, that's a bit that's just sorely missed just now, which feeds into sleep and feeds into recovery, and feeds into, getting yourself back into balance and giving your body a chance to regenerate, so you can go again the next day. So the ability to switch it on or switch it off, if you don't know how to do that, the things that I'm then talking about, this is where the experience live. The plan was breath work, so functional breathing, so how we're meant to breathe, not dysfunctional breathing, no power breathing, no Wim Hof method, like blow your brains out, generating more stress. That would have killed some of the people in that room with the amount of anxiety that they're coming in with. But functional breathing, how we're supposed to breathe as human beings. So that leads into deep relaxation. And again, a lot of people had never even experienced relaxation before, so to sit in relaxation, to give yourself a break, and to slow this down and to calm the body, and to switch off the cells and the 12 systems of the body and give yourself a break, to reach that place that so few people, ever experience for one, but use it as a kind of like a practice, a regular practice. And for me, that should be a daily practice. And then once you get into relaxation, again, there's a kind of, it's muddied the water between what relaxation and meditation is. The amount of people that think that meditation is basically sitting in silence, in a void, and just getting quiet, and escaping the reality, that isn't meditation. So the intention was to basically have the distinction of learning to breathe, learning to relax, and then right at the very end, the meditation. What is meditation? It's the direct experience and eventually union with God, the direct connection with the divinity that's inside every single one of us. That's what meditation is. Very, very different from relaxation or contemplation. They're both very valid and something that should be done, independently. Dr. David Hawkins from Power versus Force used to say that when you're contemplating, you can go and cut the grass. When you're in meditation, you're just basically sitting there, and at a certain stage, it does become quiet, and it does become, eventually you can become the field, you can become the divine, or it becomes you, whichever way you look at it. But at the same time, the intention was to basically give the distinctions between them, and at the same time, show the value in terms of why we're doing it, so absolutely, there's like disclaimers in terms of what this work does. I have huge challenges with the people that are basically jumping in and chucking people down on the ground and taking them through breathwork. The amount of stories that I heard with all these cold water groups. There's one or two lassies, there's one in particular, a well-known yogi who's chucking people into the cold water every Sunday, and people don't know what they're doing. Her coaches run about the country don't know what they're doing. They're not qualified, and it's so dangerous. So the disclaimer of this is what this work is all about. This is what this work is for. It's for healing. This is a tool for healing. And this is why when you lie somebody down on their back and you take them inside themselves and you switch this off and you reconnect them back into their heart and back into their soul, things can come up. So I was very clear with that over the weekends, that this is why we're doing it. It doesn't matter what's in there. The desire to get it up, to get it out, and then through the meditation process, then through the reconnection back to the light of the divine, that's how we heal it. That's how things get better very, very quickly. But you can't just lie somebody down and take them through the breathing and just see what happens, see what comes up. That was one of my big challenges with Wim Hof. When I trained with Wim in 2017, we were in that dungeon underneath that hotel for 2-3 hours every morning. The drums going, like whatever was going on, the music, the drums, the intensity of that. The amount of childhood trauma, childhood abuse that was coming up, the amount of people that were basically walking about like shells for the rest of the day because there was no support net. I've voiced it many times, to different the lead instructors and saying like, we need to help these people. I spent that whole week, every single night, basically talking to people, and helping a good chunk of them in terms of the stuff that was coming up, so it's really it's unacceptable, to basically just lie somebody down and take them through it and just see what happens. That isn't good enough. It's a really sacred position that we hold, us as breathwork instructors or people who are trying to help people, and you need to be able to get out the other side, and that's what this work does. It gets you out the other side with these bridges, this journey of intentional living, which is what the programme and this life is all about. And the amount of people ask, what is a programme? What is it you're actually doing? And it's all about intentional living. The process is very, very simple. The process is to reconnect to remember, back into your heart, out of the head, the natural path, back to the way that it's meant to be, which so few have no idea what you're talking about, even with that. But when you look at it, and I'm thinking just now about the amount of people that run about this work, there's probably 2 or 3 in particular just now. There's one in absolute particular, that if you had to hear his story in terms of where he was 3 years ago when he walked through these doors, and then watching him kind of get it at the beginning, which seems to happen, they're kind of given it by a gift, almost by default. You kind of get given this gift and the whole world changes, and then they kind of slip away from it, and they get back into their old habits, their old addictions, their behaviours, and then there's another plane crash further down the road, and then they get back again, and they kind of dip their toe in the water, and then again, as I found with this beautiful human being, away again. And then just recently, when everything, the world caved in, and there was nothing left, and he was basically left with choices to make, when his life was literally on the line. At that point, I always say that's a great place to be, because this takes work. You don't just get it for free, and you don't get it the first time and you're basically going to live that way for the rest of your days. At a certain point, I love when people come off it, when they're in the flow and they basically come out of it, because in the second time around you've got choices to make. And that choice, that ability to basically go, what do I want here? And I'm always talking about fulfilling potential for everybody. So at that point, it's like, right, okay, if you want to get to this place that I'm talking about, which let me tell you, there are so many people are living this inspired, enlightened life now, like in the light, happy, joyful, manifestation processes. I can't tell you the stuff that's coming through me just now in terms of the synchronicities and what's going on. It's so exciting. I can't wait to get up in the morning. That's literal. I can't wait to get out of my bed, to get in and sit in meditation, to see what's going to come next. Abraham Hicks used to say, eager anticipation for what's about to unfold. I love that. Don't know how it's going to go, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be fucking awesome. That's a great place to be. Being excited, being happy, well-being. Like feeling good, a well-being, feeling good. There's nothing can go wrong for that state. And a lot of the times when stuff comes up, which it does for everybody, then you've got the tools to deal with it. And then watching this absolute soul take full responsibility for his life and go, right, okay, what do I need to do? And I basically coached him right through Christmas, almost every single day, to get him back on his feet again. And then he's taking responsibility. He's given up all the drugs, all the addictions, including nicotine and cigarettes and all the nastiness of this world, the deadly sins. And then watching where he's at just now, and the evidence is so clear. That's the significance with this stuff. The evidence is there. You just need to look at the reviews. But more important, if you can speak to somebody that's been doing this work for an extended period of time, and you can hear their story where they were before, and then the process as to how they got there, the journeys, the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows, the stops and the goes, the ups and downs and the inside outs and back to fronts, then they eventually go, you know what? Fuck it, I need to do something about this. This needs to change, or my life is not going to be worth living. At that point, it becomes serious, and at that point, this way of living, and I'm watching where he is just now, just pure light and only goodness, and lifting up every single person round about him. And if you'd have said that to him 3 years ago, or said that to the group that was able to witness him, he came in here one night, one of the nights we did, it was one of the boys club nights, and he walked through the doors and just really, really know well, and that was only probably 5-6 weeks ago, and watching like who he's became since then, simply by doing the work, by applying these tools, these techniques, this program, his program. I show the way. I never gate to anybody in terms of telling them what to do, or say, let's do it together. I do my own program every single day. For the last probably 6 weeks to 2 months, I've been on my own program, and now I'm getting the benefits of it. Being in this inspired state all the time, watching him with his own program and who he's became as a human being, and really significantly, that process and the results that you get from it, what does that do? It lifts up humanity. Of course it does. Watching Hawkins all the time, just now, Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force, the calibrated levels of consciousness, the kinesiology testing, be able to discern truth from falsehood, and watching the stuff that he's talking about, and how significant and profound those teachings are, for me at this level where I'm at. And then the impact that it's making when he's talking about when you become loving and you become like a vehicle for good, you become a force for God, you become an appreciator, you become someone who's basically here to help. The impact that makes, not just in yourself and your immediates, but the entire world. I know what happened in that room on Sunday. By everybody reconnecting back to themselves. There was only goodness in that room, even just for a brief moment. Some people that were, the atheists and the cynics, and which there wasn't many, but there was a couple who basically you could just feel and it's like the goodness that's in that room, the power and the light that was coming through people, the reconnection back to the divinity that's inside every single one of us and every single one of them. It lifts up not just the room, the entire hotel, and the butterfly effect. Consciousness itself, the counterbalance of people who are living in this way compared to the dark side of the force, all the horribleness of the world. Please don't underestimate that. And that's a provable fact through Dr. Hawkins' work, absolutely. The impact that you make by raising up your consciousness, by becoming intentional with your life, by reconnecting back to the way it's meant to be, that's the way we make it better. That's the way that we get it back to, the way that it's meant to be. So the intention, the process and the results, they're all there, but the way is what it's all about. Living this natural way, this divine way, the way that it's meant to be, back to the way that this earth, I believe, was designed. Children of God, we're here for whatever reason, our own processes, our own journey, our own, the journey of the soul and the way that we come in and whatever we're carrying from previous lifetimes. Again, I don't know too much about that, the eternity of the soul. I do feel that probably there's been previous existence that you probably and possibly carry in with you. But, in this lifetime, especially the way it is just now, especially the challenges that we face in this world, there is so much darkness, there is so much, so many challenges and problems and ways that you can look at, that you listen to them and you see them when you ever take the desire to go in and see how bad it is, as I do now and again, check it in to see the circus and see where it's at. Which I think we need to know where it's at, just a wee glimpse, and then all focus back towards the light, back towards the solutions. And, the significance of the part that we play in that, when you reconnect back to this way of living, when you reconnect back into the divine order and the natural way of being, it's like the whole world changes. And that's literal. And that's scientifically provable with Dr. Hawkins. Some of his results and some of his, when you hear him talking for the first time, it's like, it sounds bananas. But the more you dive into it, when you can actually understand his work, which in the beginning when I got his first books probably 20 years ago, hugely challenging, trying to make sense of the language but again, the way that he builds the bridges and also obviously the amount of videos that are online now explaining his work, and there's something about, that shift that takes place within you. He talks about his first book, Power versus Force, which is there, this book here, that book there. He talks about the shift in consciousness and how you're able to calibrate, from 0 all the way up to 1,000, which is, he talks about being the numbers logarithmic, so it's no 1 to 1,000, it's the 1,000 would be, I believe it's 1,000 times 1,000, I think it's 250,000 times, so the numbers are like unquantifiable, too big to even comprehend. But he talks about mankind, and how at a certain level, under the level of 200, and that's where most people are in this world. Well, not. I think it was slightly tipped. The scale was probably in the positive when he was talking about this work, just over 200. But he said that just by reading that book, you can shift your points up the scale by 30 to 35 points. Again, proven through kinesiology, just in this lifetime. And the impact that makes and the counterbalance that makes for the rest of the world. Again, this is how we keep the world the way that it's meant to be, and we keep it going in the direction that it needs to be going. I believe there's still time, even with all the challenges and all the kind of the nonsense in the world, all the circus and the clowns and those that are basically trying to kill us. I'm feeling something just now in my throat. Basically talked for the last 3 weeks consistently. I was in Glasgow yesterday, something about Glasgow. When I got into Glasgow and I came back last night, my sinuses, and I could feel my throat. And it's, the toxins and the challenges we face in this world. The amount of, in different ways, that basically we're being negatively affected. I'm not going to get into it, because the list is too long. But again, when you see the challenge and you see the problems that we face, the question's always the same. The same with the circus and the politics and the zoo. It's like, what can we do to make it better? What can you do? What can I do to make it better? You can't really do it on a macro scale, although again the butterfly effect absolutely affects that. But to get it for yourself, to fulfill your potential, to be in the light, to stand in your truth, to speak your truth, and to be yourself and to fulfill your potential. Eventually, with these processes, these steps, this program, it's all about the spirituality. It's all about reconnecting back to the divine and living in that way. Why? Because that, I believe, is the only way we make it better. That's the only way we get the world back to the way that it's meant to be. Reconnection with the self. Saw it again on Sunday. It's absolutely beautiful. Once you reconnect with the self, then a hug to your neighbour. So reconnection with each other. So many people, saw it in Glasgow yesterday, in their phones, even like sitting in restaurants, or you're sitting in a cafe and you just watch people, the families. We're out on Sunday night, and for a bite to eat on Sunday night after the Experience Live, and just watching people bang in their phones, just tuned in on a Sunday night, sitting families, 4 of them in their phone. At the minute there was a break or somebody went to the toilet and the phones are the first thing that come up. So again, the reconnection back with each other as a species, and the realisation we're all the same. At a certain level we are absolutely all the same. That's a huge part of it, that reconnection process back to each other, which only happens after the reconnection back to yourself. And then eventually, absolutely the divine, meditation, it needs to come back. How that happens, I've always felt that the world, and the people that get in about it, there's normally massive challenges that take place before people ever find God or start to seek a different way of doing it. But that's obviously something that needs to be normalised, which again, this is what I'm trying to do, normalise God and what it is, and the realisation that it isn't about religion. It's not about the stuff that they said that Jesus did. It's the stuff that Jesus did. I quoted Jesus and Krishna and the Buddha last week, and one of the women at the end was like, just the religion thing. It's nothing to do with religion. Jesus and his followers, they were his disciples, they were followers of the way, the exact same way that I'm talking about, which is God. The divine nature that's inside every single one of us. He knew it. He fucking knew it. But they took it, what he said, and whatever they done with it, and they used that to then go what they did with it, which they're still doing to this day. So very, very different from all of that stuff, but again, kind of hidden in plain sight. You know what it's about and you understand and you get the experience of it, then hopefully, it lights enough kind of truth and enough inspiration in people that they start to go, that inquisitive journey as to what I'm talking about and what this is all about. And that, I believe, is the way we get it back to the way it's meant to be. Reconnection with yourself, reconnection with each other, absolutely divine, and Mother Nature as well. So important to reconnect back to Mother Nature. I've always said that one of the biggest sins, in fact the deadly sin, is what man has done to Mother Nature. And Mother Nature will be fine. It's us that need to be worrying about it, the state of the world just now, what's in the air and what's in the water and what's in the foods and the soils and the earth and all the kind of the nonsense that they're polluting this world with. That's the challenge we face, this environment that we are in and absolutely part of. We need to make it better. So exciting stuff. And, the divine order, the natural path, and the process of that is so simple. It really is. It's so simple and it's so profound, and it happens very, very quickly if you have enough reasons for doing it. And if you do have enough reasons, there is always a way. There is absolutely a way. No matter what you're challenged with, no matter what you're coming in with, it gets better very, very quickly. It takes a wee bit of work, but that work compared to the way that it has been before, it isn't even a choice. It becomes very, very simple. And at that point, I get excited. So the Experience Live was great. As always, what's next? We now have definite stages, definite bridges all the way up. And the amount of times like asked on Sunday, first and foremost, people that were basically commenting on, what's happening with how do we get in the ceremony retreat? How do we come to, what's the next step for this? We've been through that experience. What's next? And what's next, I would absolutely recommend. I wouldn't jump straight onto the programme. You can do that, but I wouldn't do that. The next step would be an event that I call One Day to Change Your Life. We started that this time last year. It was in January time, end of January, so it's just coming up probably this weekend. And the intention with it was to basically release the programme to the inner circle. There was probably 40 or 50 people there that I'd worked with before. And it was interesting last night talking to John and Mark and how they thought that day was going to be about me getting in and basically try to sell them stuff. And they came in, and One Day to Change Your Life, for anybody that's interested, once you go through the experience, once you feel, you put that cape on and you leave for the first day, if you're then asking, like, what is it that just happened? What is that all about? One Day to Change Your Life it's like the playbook. It's all the different tools and the techniques and the practices and the processes that basically make up the programme. So I'm explaining like how I came to these realisations. I'm explaining where I got it from. I'm explaining the stuff that I do every single day and why I do it and the benefits of it. There's some really, really simple stuff in there. The Wheel of Your Life is probably one of my favourites. That explains the entire vortex system and what it is that I'm doing. The hub and all the spokes to your life, and how tending to the spokes, which is traditional coaching and trying to work on all the things, and then showing and how that came through me after many, many years, and then showing like what this work is all about and how simple it is to understand. And now if you only do one thing, that your whole life, every single stroke becomes better. You know, there's so many bits, so many nuggets within the 1 Day to Change Your Life. The entire system, it's an introduction, the next step up to the programme. We do cold exposure, that's optional. It's interesting just now how that's no longer an emphasis, hasn't been for probably the last couple of years, I would say. Maybe because there's so many people doing it and have done it now, and so many people are coming back and going, right, okay, we've been to these groups, we've done cold exposure. Most of the time they've done it wrong, in my opinion, you know, in terms of the amount of stress and the amount of pressure they put themselves under, and it becomes really hard work. That's exhaustible, that's tiring, that becomes like effort, and eventually, again, a lot of the people and the teachers I learn from, they've got nothing else apart from that. They've got a cold exposure practice themselves, and then when the stuff starts to come up and they're looking for the next level, at that point, I'm really excited, because the amount of next levels that we've got with this work is absolutely fantastic, you know. So the 1 Day to Change Your Life is basically the kind of the playbook. It's the behind the scenes. It's all the different bits that make up this intentional way of living. It's 1 day. The next one is going to be March the 1st, New Land at Mill Hotel. It's been released to those who are at the Experience Live and the programme members. Tickets, I think there's 50 spaces. Tickets are very limited, but you can get that on the link, on Linktree, and you can basically sign in for any of the stuff at the Vortex. But the next step for anybody that really wants to get a grip of their life, that really wants to fulfil their potential, wants to go on this intentional living journey, 1 day to change your life, that's the next step. I wouldn't go straight to the programme. And in fact, the programme version 2 isn't getting released to the end of next month. That's going to be our 1 year anniversary, and I can't tell you how excited I am about that. All the additional information, the additional teachers that are going to be on it. You know, I'm bringing in, we've got a yogi coming in who's going to be doing regular yoga. We have Qigong going to be added to it. We've got functional movement coming in. We're going to be talking about like health and well-being from the perspective of diet. I'm going to be leaning on the medical medium. Anthony Williams, my man. I've been on his protocols for the last 4 years, every single day. You know, the food is a medicine that's been channeled through him from Spirit of Compassion. Really excited for that. There's a cleanse taking place. We're going to be doing a cleanse after 1 Day to Change Your Life. All the programme members, we're doing the 369 cleanse to get the toxins out the liver and out the kidneys, and, you know, give the body a gift, get away from all the fats and the oils and the poisons, and really get preparing for spring, and also for what's coming up in our lives. There's a wave of optimism and excitement just now that's coming through this work that's been done by design, you know, and that's one of the things I'm really, really excited about just now, you know, is that intentional creation process, the power of this, which I've always known about, the manifestation process, which I always practice, you know, at different levels. And where I'm at just now in terms of how I'm going to bed, you know, how, you know, when you feel and live in a certain way as if it's already here. And that is dead simple, but it's no easy, let me tell you, especially when you're in the hole and you're struggling and you're trying to create a different reality. But, you know, bringing in, you know, a lot of the science, I trained with Joe Dispenza probably 2016, 2017, and the science behind it, again, it's like, okay, it's important to know it, but it's the evidence of your reality and how it's unfolding. That's the really significant part. So again, teaching that kind of stuff, the significance of how you show up every single day, what you're expecting in your life every single day, and watching that manifestation process take place based on your work, based on your desires, based on the way that you're living. That's what this is all about, you know. So 1 Day to Change Your Life, I'm going to be talking about all of that. Version 2 of the programme is the end of February. Super excited for that, the new content, the new information, and then the retreats as well. The Art of Living, the Art of Intentional Living retreat is absolutely, that's on the cards as well. That's a non-ceremony retreat, which we're looking at, but also the ceremony retreat as well. It's all about reconnection back to the self. It's all about learning these tools and techniques. The ceremony retreat, the amount of people that's interested in that, I get, it's life-changing. For me, it's not just for anybody. You need to be around about this work first and foremost. You need to be around about me, and, you know, so we can see who you are, so you can see, because once you get into these retreats, once you get into these ceremonies, you need to be ready, you've got to be prepared. You can't just walk through the doors and go through that process over a weekend. It'd be too much, you know, and that's too dangerous. You know, so at that point, you know, we need to know who you are. We need to know, you know, what you're coming in with, why you're doing about this work. What's your reasons? Is it a healing journey? You're trying to fulfill your potential? You're trying to take on the whatever? What's your reasons? What's your why? And then once we get to know who you are through the processes, once I see that you're doing the work every single day, once you're committed to this intentional way of living, then things like the ceremony retreat, whether it's in this country, whether it's abroad, that becomes optional, that becomes open and becomes an option. But up to that point, there's a whole load of work needs done before that. It's too dangerous and it's too serious and it's too powerful, you know. So Again, it's talk is cheap. You need to show us, you get by your actions and by your way of living, you know, what you're all about. And then if you're serious about it and you want to go and like come and help us, like fix this world and get it back to the way that it's meant to be, then my arms are open to the right people. Anybody that wants to come and help, so important. You know, you're not in it for yourself in terms of coming to take it and basically, you know, use it for your own gain. It's not going to work, and we can spot that a mile away. The amount of people that I see that basically want to just click for self gain. I'm not interested. If you're still in this for yourself at this point, it's too late. And I will spot you a mile away. You know, so if you want to come and help the mission, be part of it, and take this vortex and this work to the world, then absolutely, please come and play. You know, so excited, very much so. Thanks for listening. Number 36, this world to fix. That's the plan, and it's done with love. You know, it's done with compassion. No matter who it is, there's a couple of people just now. There's one in particular in Lanark who's a bully, and he's trying to bully me a wee bit. And it's hilarious watching him, and it's just funny. You know, with my martial arts training and who I used to be as a human being, and as well as the professional fighters that I've got around about me, and how much I despise bullies. Bullies are just one of my biggest things. Really challenging, and it's great because I'm just sending him love. I can see where he is, and how little is in his life, and how challenged he is, and how bitter he is in many different ways towards this work and me. It's really fascinating. And so no matter who it is, you know, what you're coming in with, even at that level, that low level of bullying and horribleness, you know, I'm sending you love. I really am, and I mean that from my heart. The goodness that's in everybody, separated from the way that it's meant to be. It's not their fault, you know, they're a casualty of war. You know, so real love is the way we heal this world. No way fighting and we arguing and the desire to be right. We are all one at a certain level. And real love, as Joe Dispenza says, real love heals all. But he's not talking about low level, standing at the bar full of gear love. You know, he's talking about that frequency, that vibration, that field of unconditional love. That when you tap into that, you're so close to the divine. You're right in the cusp of it. And as I discovered, you know, that's why they say that God is love. You know, so that's the way to fix it. Love fixes all. Compassion for where people are, and at the same time, doing whatever you can to get it for yourself first and foremost. Being selfish, tending to yourself, and then lifting those up round about you that ask. Don't give it to anybody, but if they're looking for help and they're looking to find a way for relief, I absolutely know that this way works. Onwards and upwards as one. I send my best to you and yours. Keep moving forward. All focus on the light. Peace out. Take it easy. God bless, and bye for now.